Hi, my name is Chris Sturhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week I take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and I talk about the film in that chapter and I make the drink associated with it. Today we are going to look at the film High Tide and the drink named after its star, the Lee Tracy. Now, Lee Tracy is an actor who is best known for his work in the 1930s. In the pre-code era, he often played a hard-drinking, fast-talking, wisecracking newspaper editor, which is more or less pretty much exactly what he's playing here. But he did, in the 30s, play other types of roles. He played wisecracking, hard-drinking, fast-talking theater producers and lawyers and cops and, whatever they needed, whenever they needed somebody who was a wisecracker and a fast talker, it was likely to be Lee Tracy who got it. This was his second to last film. The story is Lee Tracy is a newspaper editor who is working for a paper that's kind of a little bit down on the skids, and he has been going after a local mobster and trying to expose him, and as the result of his investigative journalism, he's kind of bringing the newspaper circulation back up to where it really should be and making it the most popular paper in town. The publisher of the paper is a guy who actually inherited the paper from his dad and really would rather leave Tracy just leave well enough alone and not rock the boat. He's happy with it being kind of a crappy paper, but Lee Tracy basically is going to do what he's going to do. It also stars Don Castle, and Don Castle plays a friend of Lee Tracy's who had been a reporter and had turned private eye and moved to San Francisco, and Lee Tracy brings him back down to Los Angeles to kind of watch his back because he's kind of worried about what may happen with the fallout of going after this gangster. That's kind of all you need to know about the film. It's one of those low budget movies that kind of just moves right along at a kind of a hectic, frenetic pace. It runs 72 minutes, so it doesn't necessarily give you a whole lot of time to think about things, which in this case kind of works in its favor. I remember it being shown on Noir Alley, but I hardly remember the film. Which in a way was not bad, because then when I watched it again, it was like seeing it for the first time. I remember the story that Eddie Muller told about Lee Tracy's personal life much better than I remember the film itself. And he does recount that story in the book, so get the book and read that story. It's pretty wild. One of the things about this film is that I got this from IMDb. According to Eddie Muller, there's some really bad cuts in this film where it's like really hard to tell what's going on. I did kind of find myself in a couple of spots going, hey, wait, what? Huh? What? And then all of a sudden, well, whatever, I assume they thought they had the coverage they needed and didn't have the budget to go back in and do some retakes or things like that to cover up their tracks, and they just kind of made do with what they had. Still, it's a fun little movie. It moves right along. It doesn't unfold the way you think it would. At least it didn't unfold the way I thought it would, so that makes it a good thing. On a second viewing, it's not earth-shattering, but on a second viewing, it was an interesting watch. So that's good. So we're going to move along to the drink, the Lee Tracy, which apparently Eddie Muller found in a vintage cocktail book that was Drinks of the Stars, which was actually published during Prohibition. So it's kind of like, if we ever get the chance to drink again, wink, wink, these are the drinks that we probably will be drinking. So anyway, we will be back after this to make the Lee Tracy. I hope you stick around for it. Thanks. And we're back. So the Lee Tracy is a drink that features sloe gin and dry curacao. Now, sloe gin is a liqueur that is gin infused with sloe berries and sugar. It's the only drink in the book that calls for that, so I ended up finding some airline bottles because I don't know whether I'm going to like it. It might be a little sweet for me, so I'm going to do the airline bottles whenever I can on this, especially since this is the only drink that features this. I guess I should start with some ice in my tin. So it is a shaken drink, so we're going to load up some ice into our shaker. Okay, and now we're going to add our 1 ounce of sloe gin. And ooh, that was more than I thought in that little bottle. That's enough of the sloe gin. All right, and then we're going to do 1 ounce of dry curacao, which is an orange liqueur, similar to triple sec, although a little bit less sweet and a little bit more full-bodied than triple sec. Pretty nice stuff. So we're going to do that. And then absinthe. I had this little airline bottle in our bar from God knows when, and I've been using it, and most of the time in this book you're only using a little tiny bit of absinthe, so the frequent flyer mileage on this absinthe is really pretty good. So it calls for a dash. I'm gonna do kind of a very small, like that's probably less than half of this bar spoon, and it's not a very big bar spoon, so we're calling that a dash. Okay, so let me put some caps on things so I don't spill all over the place. And give it a good shake. So, okay. All right. And then we are going to strain into a chilled coupe glass. Oh, the sloe gin gives it a really nice kind of pinkish red color, which so it's kind of an attractive drink. Wasn't a garnish with it, but it is a nice looking drink. Ooh, smells very, very good. Wow, very, very sweet. If you like sweet drinks, you're gonna dig this one. Might be a little bit sweet for me. I think it could. For me, I think I'd rather have a little bit more sour in it, but definitely drinkable and actually pretty nice, especially considering how sweet it is. And I tend to not lean toward sweet drinks. Anyway, next week we are going to be looking at a classic from Billy Wilder, Sunset Boulevard, and the drink, the champagne cocktail, which I've had before, but probably not under the best circumstances. So I'm thinking making it fresh using Eddie Muller's recipe will probably help. So from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we're going to say cheers. I hope you can join us next week. Thanks for stopping by.